Uh, I would first introduce why Trio is doing this and what is this weekend webinar series is. It is actually in this pandemic situation we came up with the platform of physio discussion for all the professional students and physiotherapy, occupational therapy practitioners nationally and internationally. So there are 9 speakers and 8 talks in the month of June, which includes and starts from today. National and international speakers. Today's topic for the webinar is therapeutic listening, and the Dr. Neha is our speaker for the topic for today's webinar. The title of the webinar is Therapeutic Listening Quick Shifts, an effective treatment tool for children with hyperactivity. And Dr. Neha is MPTH Pediatrics and done certified NDT from USA, certified therapeutic listening practitioner from USA. And fortunately, she was our senior too. A warm welcome to Dr. Neha. Welcome, ma'am. I would also take the pleasure to introduce the panelists for today, Dr. Alisha Lodha and Dr. Hiral Jain. Both of them are also the co-partner of Trio Physiotherapy Mumbai. And so let us now not spend too much time and give over the screen to Dr. Neha, our today's speaker. And there's an announcement, just excuse me, Neha ma'am. Please participants throughout the webinar, do not unmute yourself. Nobody will unmute themselves and nobody will switch on the video. It's a request. Okay, over to you, Dr. Neha.
Yes. Just a second. Everyone can see my slide? Suraj? Suraj, can they see my slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's clearly visible. It's well
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Fine. Good evening, everyone. I welcome all the members for taking time out of your schedule and joining us for today's topic. Thank you, Dr. Suraj and Team Trio for the kind introduction. It is my pleasure to be part of this webinar series. I hope in this restricted time what we have, I'll try to share maximum knowledge and help our clients to whatever possible. So I think in this lockdown period, we have been attending many webinars. So it's a kind request to you and a small announcement that I'll be going off camera since it's a therapeutic listening program and a webinar talk of therapeutic listening. I have come across many issues, like there are a lot of distractions what we see when the speaker is giving a talk. So to restrict all the noise, okay, I'll just try to go off camera for a certain period of time so that you can just focus on my slide and listen to my voice, what I'm trying to tell. I'll soon be coming on the video. So for the time being, I'll try to just go off camera and, spread, tell you all the information, whatever possible. Okay, to start with, I know it's a very uncertain period for everyone due to crisis we are in today. We do know present day scenario and aware of things going around us. However, child with special need, whatsoever the diagnoses are, it's a big challenge for them to cope up with the current situation. Hence, in this lockdown blues, I thought of sharing this interesting topic with all of you. All of you will have a fair idea on therapeutic listening. You will have a fair idea about therapeutic listening, I'm very sure. Therapist, if you find this concept interesting, you can expand your thoughts and help families and try to inculcate this treatment tool in your practice. Of course, by certification and consulting a TL practitioner. For parents, if they are attending this web talk, they can deal with the child in an innovative way and ask so-called hyperactive kids to calm their senses and regulate themselves and take a break from all of us. Okay, coming to highlights of today's topic. TL is a gross term, you see. It's an intervention to deal through auditory system of your child. And quick shifts are the tools what we can use very often, especially in this situation where we don't have an access to other forms of therapy and otherwise also as a part of daily routine in children with hyperactivity and other issues. I shall also in brief about history of TL, who can take advantage, principle behind TL, what exactly are the quick shifts and how we can utilize, child with hyperactivity, problems we face in handling them, as a therapist, special educators or parents, what we can do to overcome the hindrance, specialized equipments, the do's and don'ts, and of course the route to treatment strategies. I hope all are looking at my slide and trying to listen what I'm trying to tell you. To start with today's topic, we know we have 5 basic senses: sense of smell, taste, touch, to see, to hear, and listen. And not to forget, Jean Iris, she focused on sense of movement, body awareness, and that of internal organs, which we call interoception, which play a crucial role while treating the child. And as a therapist, it is very essential to blend sensory system with our neuromotor system. Just because we are movement therapists, we can't really sideline this one. I feel addressing or ruling out involvement of your sensory system is very important before you jump on anything else. Always remember, a visual system, it works in synergy with vestibular system. Both of these are called automatic responses, what we call feed forward reaction, whereas a somatosensory system, that is tactile and proprioception, does the work of feedback mechanism. But the highlight of today's topic, auditory system, it will provide you information of 360-degree. It is also responsible for your feed forward mechanism, just like your visual and vestibular system. In spite of that, it doesn't work in isolation, unlike other senses. Now, I've give you in brief about this sensory system. To give you an example, to make it very simple, suppose an ambulance is coming across and say you're driving. If there is no sound of siren, what would you do? Just think, unless you happen to turn back and observe and lead to an accident. Now, if you turn back, your visual and vestibular system is playing a big role. You'll ask me why vestibular? Because your head is also turning on your body, right? But in normal scenario, we don't turn back after listening to the sound of siren, as auditory system plays a major role, hereby by discriminating that sound of orienting yourself and to the sound of siren. By giving way to the ambulance, here what we do, that other systems are not playing a major role. It was just an auditory system which was giving you an idea and information and listening to the sound of siren. So just by listening to that sound of sirens, so many changes are likely to happen in our body. Like the person in the ambulance must be critical. You won't be obstructing the way just because your work is important, as you feel it's not a happy situation. In short, just with one sound, different physiological and behavior changes are happening in your body. So this was just an example to tell you how this sensory system plays a major role, and in that auditory system alone, how does it affect your body. Coming to therapeutic listening, I would say it's an expanded in sensory integration approach. It is an evidence-based auditory intervention to support children with sensory processing disorder, listening issues, attention, and communication issues. Definitely, it is used along with sensory diet in variety of environment as a specialized auditory treatment tool. Just to in brief on history now, all of you must have heard about music therapy or something called as auditory integration training. You will think, how does it differ? So back then, based on the ideas of Tomatis, known as Tomatis approach, or there was one more person, Guy Berard, Ingo Steinbach, during their session, child used to merely sit at one place in clinic and was made to listen to the music with no functional activities. And there was no connection with the environment around us. Hence, by taking that concept, Sheila Frick, the founder of therapeutic listening, made her own version of music with alteration of frequencies, change in the duration, and it was done in context with SI. And many things were there which she added on. And the best part was using the headphones along with the cords, which can be used in any setting while doing functional tasks. And the concept of TL was put into practice with Colin Hacker, and a team of Vital Link was built. And yes, I was very lucky enough to take my course from Sheila. Now you will ask me, who can benefit from therapeutic listening? Since our topic is hyperactive, you will ask me, is it only for hyperactive a child? No. Amazing thing about TL, it can be used across lifespan, from children to adults, from a typical population to so-called typical people like you and me. Yes, normal people like us can use it too. In fact, just few minutes before the presentation, even I heard a reg album to calm myself and keep my sympathetic system in regulation, believe it. So it is very helpful. Now, to be specific, individuals who display anxiety, stress, motor coordination issues such as gross and fine motor skills, sensory modulation dysfunction, behavior regulation issues such as crying, anger, if they have praxis difficulty like ideation, planning, and execution, there is issues with attention, paying focus in their executive function, when the child is having issues with social interaction challenges. These are some of the things where we can give therapeutic listening. Also in individuals with or without diagnosis of sensory processing disorder, kids who are under spectrum, kids with ADHD, CP, CVA, or traumatic brain injury. Now they have also used TL with patients having traumatic brain injury and stroke, and they have seen like lot of improvement in their perception due to sensory issues, which in turn may help improving timing and sequencing or spatial awareness and awareness of their own self. Also, attention is found to be improved as it taps onto the orienting response. These are some of the things where they have used therapeutic listening. Now, if there are any parents attending my talk, I'm sure previous slide must be Greek and Latin to you, as those fancy terms are favorite of me as a therapist. Just to simplify, I would like to tell you what exactly happens with your child. You remember I mentioned about sense of interoception in one of the 8 senses that comes in picture over here in first 3 points. That is disturbance in sleep-wake cycle, hunger thirst, and bowel bladder cycle. It's a triad basically, which we need to understand. They may like pee in pants. Some kids won't have control on eating. They will keep playing one game without realizing they are tired. There is need to drink water for them and make themselves hydrated. And just come home and they'll sleep. They just are not aware what they are doing and what they have to do. They also have issues in poor filtering. Now poor filtering is, see, this is called as distractions, and suddenly your attention to the sound or what I'm talking is getting distracted. So try to focus on what I am telling you and try to listen and not to hear the voice around you. So this is called as poor filtering. Now, what is poor filtering? It is something when the child cannot identify one sound from many. Even if you're calling him number of times, he won't be
Sorry, ma'am. You have to unmute yourself first.
Okay. Is it okay now?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did I cover the point on poor filtering, Suraj?
You have to repeat the last point, ma'am. Sorry. We
The
just muted everyone so that now
Okay.
no one will be unmuted.
Okay. This is the reason I want to avoid these distractions. Yeah. So we were on last point, right? Difficulty with the hunger thirst cycle or the poor filtering.
Yes. The moon cycle.
Okay. So let me tell you what is this poor filtering. Here the child cannot identify one sound from many. Even if you are calling him number of times, he won't be able to respond to you. Hence we say child is not paying attention to what we tell. So that is called as poor filtering. Now, what is difficulty in transition? They don't like changes. Example, they prefer strict patterns, same clothes, same rug, same bottle or tiffin. In fact, they don't prefer or comfortable in new surrounding or visiting relatives' place, sitting on same bench. These are some of the things what you will see in hyperactive child. They also have limited play skills. Now here you will tell me your child is very attentive. He can play video game for hours. But if you ask him to play with something else, he will throw that out. Now, some kids, they can speak, they can talk, but can we call it as a communication? Absolutely no. It's just vocalization of words. Communication is something which child should make sense to you by relating words and making meaningful sentences like give me water, I want chocolate. So there should be meaning to a sentence. That is what we call communication. Regulating arousal. Big word, I know, but it is very simple. Either the child will be hyper aroused, what we call hyperactive child, or into a low arousal state. There is nothing called as optimal status or just right response or baseline, where the child is able to control himself in an environment. Again, I think you will see someone is trying to scribble on the slide and it will again take away your attention. So I request the members not to scribble and just try to listen to what I'm telling. You will also see difficulty in responding to sound and follow direction. And that point I'll try to discuss in further slides. So now you will think, is there any, just a second, let me. Yeah. So now you will ask me if there is any difference between hearing and listening. It sounds very simple, but there's a huge difference. It plays major role with our kids. They are able to hear everything, but they can't really listen. You'll ask me what's the difference? Well, hearing is accidental. It is involuntary unless you shut your ears. And based on this sound, you adjust your body, your vision, your movement. Now, for example, I'll try to give you an example of this current webinar. You're trying to listen to this webinar. Unless you're bored till now, you will be hearing many things around, trying to scroll your screen, see who all are attending Neha's webinar, etc. But in spite of all that, you will make an effort to listen to my voice and read my slides simultaneously. As we have tried to keep many distractions at bay, like asking you all to mute your microphone, me going off camera, hence you are able to focus better. And that is how this music helps. It helps them to receive, to pay attention, respond to incoming sound, listen to themselves and modulate accordingly to only what is needed, which is not possible to do actively for this child because every sound is noise for them. That is how, and that is the reason they close their ears. They avoid low frequency sound. Now, what are low frequency sound? For example, like sound of vacuum cleaner, cooker whistle, loud music. You must have seen that, immediately after hearing that sound, the child will try to shut their ears. So that is the reason they have sensitivity to auditory defensiveness to low frequency sound. They just want to shut up and, hence TL play a big role over here. I already explained, like other sensory system, auditory system does not work in isolation. Neurologically, it is connected to all levels of your brain function. And as a result, it has vast range of influence. And how we listen impacts not only your overall physiology, but also your behavior. Just like how I gave you example of ambulance. Now, See, we all must have experienced the type of music we listen has a great impact on our body, also on our posture, and also on our mood. We know transmission of sound is by air and bone conduction. But we need to remember one thing. If the child is having poor posture while listening, it leads to inadequate bone conduction because the distance between your larynx and spine should be minimum. If you sit in a slouch posture, bone conduction will be poor. Plus, your breathing, head and neck alignment is very important to get maximum effects of TL. So the principle behind TL remains the same. Rhythm, what shoots in the brain, results in chemical changes. Example, listening to slow tempo sound versus fast tempo sound. You just imagine yourself in an event or party with loud sound versus in a temple, church or mosque. How will the body react? You know, like we tend to say, kitna acha beat hai, naachne ka man kar raha hai. The other way can be, गाना change करो यार, नींद आ रही है. Or we'll say, such a peaceful music. I just feel like listening throughout, isn't it? So, guys, all life has rhythm, whether heartbeat, muscular and neuronal firing pattern, body movement, your gait pattern, social interaction, communication, and many more. If there was no rhythm, we would be like robots. If I was explaining you like air conduction, bow conduction, activates reflexes for self and interactional synchrony. So there is no rhythm in my voice. You would be very much bored. So that is the reason rhythm in life is very important. And that's where this therapeutic listening music, what have been produced, is helpful. Therapeutic use of musical rhythm, they have shown to support improved functional performance by enhancing your motor control, your coordination, activation of sensory motor cortex, cognitive performance, and many more. Now, coming to binaural beat technology. You see, the brain's electrical firing patterns ebb and flow throughout one's day and are associated with different arousal, emotional, and behavior states. Quick shifts, what we have taken as today's topic, they utilize these two different beats of similar frequency through right and left channel as brain tracks the difference from brainstem to cortex into both the hemisphere. Based on these two principles and your brainwave pattern, therapeutic listening concept is built. Just to make things easier, I know these two terms were maybe difficult to you, but I'll try to give some example and to make it easier. This binaural beat will help you for your orienting response, which is dissociation with your head and neck and visual auditory orienting response. Now, for example, consider if someone is calling you from behind and you are lying down, will you take efforts to get up and stand on your feet and turn back to the voice? Unless and until it's your boss. You will just turn your head on your neck based on which side the sound is coming and dissociate your head over your neck accordingly, which is called as visual and auditory response. But have you seen child with spectrum or auditory defensiveness? They will never turn by isolating segment. Rather, they will turn their entire body. You know, I have 3 kids in my school who had this problem. 2 are completely fine now and 1 I'm still working. So this is where we need to understand it's not the problem with the spasm of neck or child is bored. It is problem with visual or auditory orienting response. It is responsible for your flight and fight response. So these were in short the rationale on which TL is built. Now TL, it has wide variety of music and there is no fixed protocol which we need to follow. The way every child is different, same way each album. And there is progression of music. Like we can either start from engagement series, moving to interaction, followed by discrimination, which is higher level of music selection, and it is complex based on severity of child, like kids with learning disability. Now there are 4 programming series as I have mentioned here on the slides. So there is something called as modulated series. It has broad range music. It is modified with your high and low pass filters. It helps in improving your orienting response. What I discussed by giving you example, dissociating your head on your neck on a auditory sound. Then there is, but this modulated music is given for 30 minutes. Then there is something called as special enhancement. Then there is also something called as fine tuning, combination of which has combination of high pass and low pass filter. And there is something called as quick shifts. I think Suraj, someone is raising hand. Do they have any questions, or they want me to slow down? I mean, my speed should be slow.
I think, ma'am, if they have questions, they will be asking in the end of the presentation.
Okay, fine. They don't have any problem with my speed of what I'm
they
explaining.
can write
right?
on the chat box.
Okay, fine, no problem. If you have any issues or you want me to go slow, let me know and just drop your query on the chat box.
Yes.
Yeah. So I told you in brief about modulated, specially enhanced and fine tuning series. Today we are going to focus only on the quick shifts. Now, quick shifts, I told you, they are like any other treatment tool. Example are vestibular ball, scooter board, but available in form of album, which you can listen with headphones or open air speakers. So this is one good thing about quick shift. Whereas the other musics, you can't listen on any other, headphones or speakers. The hallmarks I already explained, the rhythmic entrainment, binaural beat. Now, it has also influence on brainwave pattern, that is your beta, high beta, alpha, theta, delta waves. Now, your high beta waves are responsible for your anxiety, stress, shallow breathing, whereas beta does the job of logical thinking, alertness, attention. Your alpha brain waves help you with relaxation, focusing. Your delta waves will they are useful for your dreamless sleep, and your theta, your deep it helps you for deep creative dreaming thoughts. Hence, child with hyperactivity, we try to get them on beta to alpha state and select the appropriate frequency of music album accordingly. Using quick shifts is like preparatory activity. If you want to do transition, make the child calm, start with regular therapy sessions. When you feel child is not listening to you, not ready to enter your clinic, it's like quick fix for them. But there are carefully sequenced music selection albums to gain maximum benefit. It can also be used as an adjunct to TL or as a standalone tool. As I said, it can have immediate impact on your function. Now, in my school setup, I use very often, some kids, they don't prefer attending the assembly because there's a lot of sound. So here it helped me as a quick dose. Or on first day of school, it is a sudden transition to them, so I use it. Also in my treatment session, I frequently use quick shifts because it is given only for 15 minutes. As a part of school sensory diet, along with other tools and your approaches, you can use quick shifts. As a part of home program, very important because research says 2 times a day is needed. So if one session at school or clinic, then next session should be at home. You need to give at specific times of the day or as a preparatory activity prior to a challenging task. Now, today's topic, the hyperactivity in children. It is a problem in brain where electrical impulses are not able to reload and release themselves perfectly, which results child to be restless and almost constantly active, and majority of kids, they show comorbid or associated problems. There are criteria given under DSM on which you can label the child having ADHD or ADD. If the child does not fulfill the criteria of under DSM, you cannot label the child as having ADHD or ADD. Hence, in today's topic, I didn't use the word ADHD, rather termed it as hyperactivity. So we can use this term for the typically developing child who lacks in paying attention as well. For a child having diagnosed with ADHD, secondary to genetic cause maybe, or it can be your environmental factors, maybe due to low birth weight or brain insult. These are some of the causes which lead the child to be having ADHD. Now, just for your information, ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder with persistent behavior pattern of severe inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Presence of ADHD in childhood increases the likelihood of difficulty in their academic performance. They have issues with social interaction. They have low self-esteem, and it doesn't remain there. It is also obstructing them in their adulthood. These symptoms should manifest in different settings, like in school as well your home setup. and they should be started before the age of 12. Okay. And they should be present for at least 6 months and interfere with your social and academic performance. Now, okay, just to give you an example, just to understand the neurobiology of ADHD. Consider while you're watching and listening to my web talk, the activity and network involved for processing information will typically increase only in those who are paying attention to my voice. While in case of a person in this group whose mind is wandering or like distracted, this information will be decreased. Whereas in person with ADHD, activity of this network will be impaired and connections within the network are disrupted. When we look closely at the communication between this network, there is also disruption in release of chemicals such as dopamine and non-adrenaline, possibly glutamate also, which is responsible for passing messages between brain cells. So when children with ADHD carry out particular tasks, some networks are either switched off and others are too active. In simple words, I tried explaining you. So we call the child is not paying attention, he's impulsive or hyperactive, because these are the some chemical changes which are happening in their brain. And there's no point of parents getting anxious and try to reach for brain imaging just to find out faults in your child's brain. You will not get anything. You see, studies do show there are structural and functional changes in brain, such as cortex surface layer, as well as in subcortical region, including the striatum and cerebellum. But you can't use imaging to diagnose ADHD. I hope I'm clear here. Because I had tough time to deal with over-apprehensive parents, and as a therapist, we should guide them. The prevalence of ADHD in India is around 8.8%, suggesting high prevalence of ADHD among primary school children. It's one of the Indian study what I found. Now, to note some symptoms like child will have tendency to drift away from a given task, repeatedly changing channels on television as they can't due to certain situation. They are distracted easily in classroom. Instead of listening to teachers' commands, they will be more prone to focus on other things like ringing of bell, sound of chocolate paper. They will also have difficulty getting organized. I already explained you. Not taking enough sleep at night, and they may like blabber at night. They have memory issues also. Child can perform only single task at a time. If you ask your child to get like some 3 things, he will remember only 1, you know, out of those 3 tasks. These are certain things what we notice in kids with hyperactivity. Now, I want to mention something very important before I start with evaluation. It is not a problem with the willpower of your child. It is the problem the way child's brain is wired. It is not under voluntary control of him or her. Even we have to go through such symptoms at times. It's just that these kids have a lot more trouble to deal and channelize signals from noise. We need to start working on their strength than the difficulties. And as evaluation, as a therapist, we know regular routine pediatric evaluation. Now in TL, we have 3 profiles. For example, profile 1 for severe cases. We group the profile 1 kids, those who are into severe category. Profile 2, those who are having mild to moderate sensory defensiveness. Profile 3 for mild sensory defensiveness with subtle regulatory issues which are present or resolved. There is a big assessment format, what we select, the questionnaires, etc. And then we go for selection of music. And we also ask the parents to do home exercise program. Okay. As a special educator, they play a crucial role in identifying the child's behavior pattern, because they spend 5 to 6 hours in a day throughout the year. And as a parent, you need to report your information, what you observe in home setting. And as a child, because as a child, he will not show those same, symptoms or his behavior at home, because kids are very smart. They will be showing you one type of behavior at home, and in school, they'll be different. So you need to report to your special educator or your therapist. You should also observe the changes during and after the session of TL and report to your therapist. Coming to assessment tools, these are some of the assessment tools what we use in therapeutic listening. Clinical interview, we all know what we take it hugely, but I would focus child with hyperactivity or ADHD or under spectrum. Please check for their milestones, including speech. It is important. Their social smile. sometimes they don't respond to their name, but if you make a sound of rapper, they'll immediately respond you. Now, as I told, functional listening questionnaire. This is one more questionnaire we use in therapeutic listening. It has certain components such as interview, like observing the child. Then there are follow-up questions on which we grade. There is something called as clinical observation listening of foundation, COLF. It has other components such as orienting and attending patterns, respiratory patterns, basic movement patterns. There are also standardized tests which are given by Bundy and Murray and Berg. So those tests we use. These are some of the tests what I wrote, such as supine flexion, prone plank, monkey task, prone extension, tailbone tip test. But this Bundy and Murray and Berg, they have given standardized values for them, because and for particular age group, in that particular time frame, they should be able to complete the task. So these are some of the standardized tests what we do. Coming to special considerations, program for children under 2 years. Yes, you can give TL, but please no headphones for kids who are under 2 years, because their auditory system is not myelinated, and they can be the high frequency sound can be really very sensitive to them. So please don't give for children who are 2 years. Don't put headphones to them. You can use modified music over open speakers like Bluetooth speakers. I've used personally on an 18-month-old child. He was having a lot of swaying movements more in sitting, and I was assuming he to be having vestibular issues. I tried modulated music with my routine physical therapy with sensory diet, and in 2 weeks, mother told me swaying movements have reduced a lot, and even I have noticed and reported on the questionnaires. And he enjoys music, of course. Child was case of dystonic CP. Coming to program for school age children, in school setting, if 7 days not possible, research says 5 days is adequate in a week to get the benefit. Programs for children with hearing aids. Yes, you can use TL or quick shifts, but try to remove hearing aid prior to listening if music create feedback. Volume should be at your normal conversation level. How to check? Try putting headphones on yourself first. This is what I do. And you should be able to have communication to hear audible sound, or use of attenuator for volume control is acceptable. In case of hearing impaired child, it will not change hearing. Let me be very clear. But they say that therapeutic listening may help you to improve the attention to sound and vestibular based and regulatory issues in such case. I have one case who is a roller skater player in my school with hearing aid. I think he's 17 years. What we have noticed in him is reaction time. It is improved drastically. Course, along with other therapy also, but in 2 weeks time period, along with the physical educator, we tend to check their reaction time, etc. So that was improved quite good. Okay, program for children with cochlear implant. To be frank, I haven't used program for children with cochlear implant, so can't comment anything on how effective it is and the mechanism of it. But if you do so, it is important for therapists to understand mechanics and frequency range of cochlear implants. Contact your cochlear implant team and work after their approval only. And here, use of attenuator is very important. Coming to contraindication, these are some of the contraindications such as schizophrenia, auditory evoked seizures, and active ear infection we don't give. Yes, now activities contraindicated, watching TV and computer video games is a big no. My dear parents or therapists, if you think you can just put headphones and leave the child as it is, effectiveness of TL is very less. You will not gain what you want. The child won't be able to integrate music completely. Coming to equipments, we use Sennheiser headphones. They are available on Vital Sounds website. Why only these headphones? Because of its specifications. They are designed only for TL program. The frequency range is very high, that is from 20 Hertz to 23,000 Hertz. They have an open ear system. Open ear system as in it allows your environmental sound to mix with headphones output, so it is more natural and child is oriented to his surrounding. It should also cover your external ear. This is what you call circumaural. And you should never use wireless headphones or your earplugs because they have low dynamic frequency. So it is not allowed. Options can be your Bluetooth speaker or your player speakers, but not for modulated or any other music. You can use your normal Bluetooth speakers only for a child below 2 years. TL music option. These are some of the music options which are available for quick shifts. and your therapeutic listening music. Now, TL app you can download from your Google Play Store. Just type therapeutic listening app by Vital Sounds. You can either purchase or also available on rental basis on your Google Play account. You can do the payment and you can buy those. It is also available for Apple devices. Procedure remains the same. But your your phone should be on aeroplane mode. Moving to next. Okay, the dosage. Now the dosage for quick shifts, one music will play for around 15 to 21 minutes, the quick shifts, but the modulated music are for 30 minutes. Now it has to be given twice a day with minimum separation of 3 hours between listening time. You can use over your headphones only unless your child is below 2 years, as I discussed already. Music albums has to be changed every 2 weeks. In case in those 2 weeks, if you feel your child is completely disorganized, that means you have gone wrong somewhere in your evaluation and selection of music. Don't abruptly buy new album and start the program. Wait for 2 more weeks, give a break for the child to get organized, repeat your evaluation again, and then go ahead with different album. Now, if you're thinking to use Bluetooth speakers for child below 2, see, you need to remember something, that child should be at the apex of triangle, like equidistance between two speakers. Child should be no more than 3 to 5 feet away from your speakers, and try to use small space like area of bathroom. Volume control should be normal conversation level, and decibel reading 45 to 55. With the help of attenuator, you can control the decibel. It's a normal hearing capacity. And time of day to listen, as I said, observe your child for a week. If things going haywire, stop, wait for 2 more weeks. Don't do hurry and trouble the child. On positive side, if the child in first week, child will also show you phase of disorganization, before the phase of reorganization, which is good. Initial 2 to 3 days, he may have meltdown phase. He may be like cranky or he may cry. But it's said while you detoxify your body, it's the dirt that comes out. So that's okay. Coming to advantages. It can be given as a daily home program. It is highly adaptable to specific needs of the client. It is less time consuming. Multitasking can be done. No physical assistance required. And these I already explained. Okay. So before we go to treatment strategies, I'm almost done. I just want to share this nice quote I came across. The X forgets, the tree remembers. Here I want to relate X as we, the therapist, the caregivers, and tree is the child. Somehow with no time, we come to a conclusion and don't really try to find the root cause of it, because we are experienced and we have a lot of literature in mind, but we don't realize the damage what we do to the child, and he has to suffer. This damage we are not allowed to do. It's okay if you don't do anything and carry on with your regular therapy, which show improvement maybe, or give referral whom you think can do something better than me. And if you aren't specialized in that area, so try to give a pause. But just remember, experimenting is not right. Don't harm the child. Remember, the diagnosis may be same, but every child is different. So does their demands. So I hope you guys will remember this slide always whenever you practice. Okay, coming to treatment strategies. These are very important. So the next few slides I'll be sharing, they are my experience and things we need to consider, which can be the root cause of your child's hyperactive behavior. First and foremost, very important, diet. I know we are not dietitians, but as the therapist, we treat the child for the longest period of time. We need to know everything that may affect your child's body and your therapy. So now I work in an area where one end is entirely of rural population and the other is city oriented. Families whose economic conditions are not fine, you just can't keep referring them to high-end things at every step. Hence, you need to have basic idea about his all systems during your evaluation. Rather, you can have a talk with your nutritionist and try to discuss about your cases if possible. Now, when it comes to nutrition and kids with hyperactivity or ADHD, we'll always find big and fancy terms like detoxification, something called as GFCS diet. There is and many more terms we come across. Parents will be very enthusiastic in this matter, and they will be pulled away easily listening to these names. Of course, they do make difference, but we need to understand what it is, because sometimes the hyperactivity tantrums in your child can be just because of his food habits. The best gift you can give to your child is your homemade food, which lacks preservatives, okay, and heavy metals. That is what we call detoxification. It is nothing but to relax the child's gut from foreign food. Use of regular diet like dal, rice, buttermilk, chapati, which has a lot of pickle, buttermilk. These two ingredients and these dishes have a lot of pre and probiotics. Also your fresh fruits and vegetables. But it should be washed clean, because again they use chemicals on them, something which is packet and ready to eat and has preservatives, again that will help that will affect the child with hyperactivity. So I think parents, this is the best time for you to detoxify your child and keep that habit. Studies also show GFCS diet help in kids under spectrum and with hyperactivity to have some changes in their behavior. Now, what is GFCS diet? It is nothing but gluten-free and casein-free diet. Now, when we read something like this, we will try to remove this wheat and milk from the diet completely. But we forget to substitute that food with something else, and your child will face some other nutritional deficiency. These points I'm mentioning are very important for parents. This has to be supervised. The weaning and replacement should be gradual and in consultation with your nutritionist only. Another important thing, the nutritionist with whom I work with will always say the sugar intake of the child is very high. Those kids who are diagnosed with ADHD or the kids who are hyperactive. Sugar intake is high as in they try to eat lot of sugary foods and packed food. So try to avoid this packed food, because maximum problems in child with hyperactivity, you will see lot of sugary food they will be eating. So try to have control on that part. Coming to history of bowel and bladder. Yes, it does play a vital role, and TL also helps in this. It's a big topic and I can talk on hours on that. But just to be in brief, if the child is having irritated gut or nocturnal enuresis and no control on bladder voiding, child will again show you hyperactive behavior. It does affect their self-esteem. Hence, very important to keep a check on bladder diary. And I feel really happy to tell you that just with maintenance of strict bladder diary, no therapeutic listening, nothing else, just with strict bladder diary, check on their fluid intake and exercises, my cases of nocturnal enuresis improved with no episodes of relapse. For bowel, you can use something called as Bristol stool chart. It is very effective. Now, coming to screen time, I'll take screen and sleep together, and also communication. You need to ask them, because it's the most simplest form nowadays to keep your child occupied. I know you all will agree with me. The more screen time, less is your interaction with surrounding. I remember back then in my graduation time, kids, even months old, they will never respond to you, or in that matter, even your facilitation techniques, unless it's right. But if phone is in front of them, their head holding will be fabulous. Just because child responded quickly on phone, we don't want to move towards toys, as toys require your interaction, your voice modulation. We don't want to take that trouble. That's where the trouble starts. So try to limit the screen time. Studies reveal due to screen time, sleep is disturbed, and in turn, attention and behavior. So less screen time, better sleep, good attention, and there is no interaction. And if there is like no interaction, no communication is built up with the family members and surrounding, again, you will see difficulties with the child. In our dynamic system theory, it takes a break and there is no interaction with the environment and there is no functional activity. So try to inculcate everything. So as a physical therapist, we need to keep the combination of sensory, neuromuscular, respiratory, regulatory system in synchrony and focus on what you need to work sometimes. Child may have issues with just one or in mixture. Be careful on what equipments you choose. When you give sensory diet, it is also important to focus on activities that will support his core activation, then balance, in activities such as flexion, extension, rotation, counter rotation around their vertical axis, analysis of their posture, considering sensory motor and developmental components is very important. And since I'm almost to conclude, it is a heterogeneous problem as we discussed before. Most promising approach should be holistic in nature. You need a team, of course. a team of neurologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, special educator, nutritionist, and not to forget parents or the caregivers. It is important to evaluate the child so as to know what is causing the problem and not symptoms, and then work with them, assess their strength, address their difficulties, and plan accordingly so they succeed and reach their full potential. Okay, here I mentioned some of the activities we can try and implement on hyperactive kids in this lockdown period. At home, as a therapist, you can advise your patients on phone maybe. Okay, there's something called as midline crossing, example hookups with hands and legs. You can do something called as walking on infinity 8. These activities help in communication of your both the hemisphere. In case of child having difficulties with balance, writing, reading, grasping, he's grasping too hard or too light, he's having difficulties while cycling. It happens when your certain primitive reflexes are also not integrated, and that's why you see there is difficulty in midline activity. So you need to work on midline crossing. Then in simple way you can try, you know, petting animals. It gives them a lot of tactile input. Jumping or hopping, like single leg hop or both, in and out of the circles, gives a lot of proprioceptive vestibular input. You can also give them such as molding dough at home. It gives a lot of tactile, plus it develops, you know, you develops child's self-esteem. You should encourage them, you know, in some functional activity. Running up incline with obstacle, proprioception, it helps in your proprioception. It improves coordination. Dancing with sibling, it develops, helps in developing the bond. And this is something called as nature walk with feedback. Okay. uh, you know, a nice concept is given by Richard Liu in his research. He called ADHD also a nature deficit disorder. He says nature walk for approximately 20 minutes is essential, and otherwise also. It is proven, you know, we all know that when bodies are moving, your brain develops. And I guess we as a therapist know it well. You can take your child for a walk. You can give some backpack with water bottle, eating material, which will act as a proprioceptive. Like the bag will be heavy, so it will be like a proprioceptive feedback for them. And take him for a walk. Now for self-regulation, you may sometimes see that child is very cranky. He's just not ready to hold your hand or allowing you to hold him. So what you can do, there is something called as finger hold methods, and this I'm just sharing what I've been practicing and learned from my seniors and my mentors, and what I have come across through some of the research. It is helpful in regulation. Finger holds is something like you just have to gently hold the child's each digit till you feel a pulse in each finger. It can take from like 2 seconds or 2 minutes to 20 minutes. You just try to gently hold, and it is best to be done at home when child is too cranky and is not able to regulate himself and not able to build that connection with you. So, or sometimes like if you're working in a school setup, when if you're trying to, if your helper is not there, you are just trying to get the child from the classroom to your physiotherapy section, rather than, you know, making him walk in front of you. You can just try to grab his each finger at a time and try to hold it there till you feel the pulse of the child. Automatically you will see child will start calming down. It happens, it works. Okay, so now we are almost to conclude. I want to tell you this was not a training program. It was an informative talk, I'm hoping, and you just can't go and start downloading series of music such as modulated, etc. You can't purchase them as you need your course completion registration number to access, while quick shifts you can purchase, but don't use on your child as you will harm them. If you want any help, my email ID is given. You can contact me or Team Trio for your queries. They will get back to me. I can guide you and consult your, or if that thing is not possible, you can consult your nearby TL practitioner. These are some of the albums in quick shifts, what we use in our daily practice. So I think, okay, just a second.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay, just a second, Suraj. Just a second, Suraj. Okay, this is link for vital links. You can, if you want to visit, if you are interested, and if you want to know something more and you want to know something more on the research, you can try to go on this link. It will be very helpful. Also, there's a lot of research available on American Journal of OT on effectiveness of sound-based intervention in SBD and visual motor delays by, I think, Lay Hall and Smith. So you can just try to go and browse. You will find tremendous information there. You can also refer whole body listening book. It's very good. Okay, fine. I'll try to. Yes, Suraj, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, that was a very informative and amazing talk, and I'm sure that all the participants they enjoyed listening to therapeutic listening.
I hope so. I hope so. And I tried to minimize all the distractions. I hope they have they were trying to listen to what I was saying.
Yes, indeed. So we have one question on Zoom here, which I would just ask you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just a second. It is asked by Shweta Shukla.
Okay.
Please explain hypo and hyper arousal.
Okay. Just to tell you in a simple word, hyper arousal is something what we call child is very hyperactive. Okay. He is not able to come to the optimal status. Okay. Don't confuse with hypoarousal with something called as hypotonic child. It is not something with tonal issues. Okay. Hyperarousal is hyperactive child. Okay. He's not able to maintain his optimal status, or he's not able to come to a baseline. Whereas hypoarousal is child someone who doesn't like interacting with the environment. Okay. He will like to be aloof. Okay. He will be busy with something called as self-steaming behavior. Okay. He'll be into his own thing. Whereas hyperarousal is something his regulatory issues are out of control. You remember I gave you some example where chemical changes are happening in the brain. Okay. So the child is not able to shut down their responses. Okay. So he is into that hyperactivity mode. He is not able to come to an optimal status. That is called as hyper. That's the difference between hyperarousal and hypoarousal. That's something which we call a child is very hyperactive and child is not interacting with the environment. I hope I'm clear.
Yes. So there's another question by Nimish Matre. He wants to know that is this useful for selective hypertonicity in children?
Selective hypertonicity in children. Can he give me some example what he's trying to?
Okay, I would request Mr. Nimish Matre. You can unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
In case of maybe dystonic kids, he is trying to tell.
Yes, Nimish, are you able to hear us? Hello, Nimish Matre. His question is straight that he wants to know that is this therapeutic listening is useful for selective hypertonicity in children? What I believe, hypertonicity means it also is considered in spasticity.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. Is it he is trying to tell me, is it because of the dystonic child, or is he trying to tell me with dyskinetic issues, or child with
he's unable
those
to
who have been quadriplegic?
Ma'am,
okay.
We got it. Can you please repeat about the? Oh, that's another question.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, tell me, Nimish.
You can unmute yourself now. We are allowing to unmute now, Nimish. Yeah, about dystonic.
Hello?
He's asking about dystonic.
Yes, about dystonic only. Like there are some kids who are having an opistotonic posture from childhood.
Okay.
Like the extensor tone is increased.
Yes. That's what I wanted to. So you mean to say it is opistotone mostly seen in dyskinetic kids and not dystonic kids. Okay. It is mostly noted in dyskinetic kids, what we see. So yes, you can. They have done studies like in CP. They have tried to give therapeutic listening in cases with CP, but see to it the child is not having auditory evoked seizures. Okay, as I mentioned, therapeutic listening helps in subsiding these regulatory issues. And you're talking about hypertonus or dyskinetic issues. So it does help in them, but they should not be having auditory evoked seizures unless they are having the other seizures can be acceptable, but the seizures are sound induced. I would say it should not be advised to give, but it does help them in CP kids also. But they have done a lot of research more in cases having sensory issues rather than kids with CP, but found to be effective. Yes, because I tried in one of my child having dystonic CP. it was very helpful because he was having secondary vestibular issues associated. So it does help, Nimish. Am I clear? Nimish?
Nimish.
Yes. Am I clear?
Nimish, did you get your answer? Yeah, okay, thanks. He replies on chat box that he got the answer. Thanks.
Okay, fine.
Another
Any
question.
other?
I think we have questions from YouTube and Facebook also, but there's one last question from here. The
Okay.
child always makes sound like humming sound during activity.
Okay.
Can therapeutic listening program be useful for these?
Very nice question. I would say it is effective. Okay. I would say the discriminative selection of music would be helpful for them, because humming is something child is trying to vocalize. And in therapy, otherwise also, if the child is not, you're not giving therapeutic listening to him, otherwise also in therapy, as you will see speech therapist working on humming. Okay. It is always good because child is trying to vocalize the sound. It is very effective in them, but there are quick shifts won't help, but there are modulated music for it. There are fine tuning music which are available. You can give those albums for them if the child is having humming issue. I hope I'm clear.
Yes. Okay. Okay. We got the answer, and I think he's got clear idea about will this be useful, and
Okay.
as you mentioned that this will be definitely useful. So
Yes.
it would be great if he tries in these kind of children. Okay.
Yes.
So I would request Saili to ask the questions if there are questions from YouTube or Facebook. I hope you have a few more minutes, Neha ma'am.
Yeah, sure. They can.
Yeah. Please, Saili, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So there is one question on YouTube which says that can you suggest some similar tools or methods which are easily available and cost effective for parents, as they may not be able to opt for this?
Can you come back again, Saili? They can.
Ma'am, the question is,
Yes.
if you can suggest similar tools or methods which are easily available and cost effective for parents, as they may not be it may not be possible for them to opt for this.
Okay, fine. I would see, I told you there is something called as auditory integration training. Okay. And I don't know if in here it is practiced so much, but people have come way ahead of AIT or music therapy. And this is a standard auditory intervention, what we are giving for the child. So I don't practice anything else apart from therapeutic listening. So I would support therapeutic listening here. And there are albums which are on therapeutic app. It is available on rental basis also. Okay. So quick shifts are reasonable. Okay. You can opt it. You have to use it for like 2 weeks. Okay. And if the child is in school setup, it is more easier for them to take it. And I think I can't comment on any other treatment tool. There is availability of AIT and all, but again, nothing is cost effective as such. But this therapeutic listening, what I'm practicing is I found very effective. So I don't think I have any right to comment on anything else. Okay. So if the parents need any help, I can guide them. They can email me. So we can try to sort their issues. Okay. To the best way possible.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
So that was it from YouTube.
Anything from Facebook? Saili?
And no, sir, there are no questions on Facebook.
Okay.
I guess that was it.
Okay.
They may
One last thing, Neha ma'am, to address.
Yes.
Matra is again asking that, is there any research about effective Indian classical music on special children? Indian classical music.
Okay, in therapeutic listening, there are bits, what we hear, something called as rhymes or nature sounds. Okay, it is not something westernized music they have put. Okay, there are Indian studies are not done. I'm doubtful. Okay, in classical music, but see, whenever we try to put relaxing music or instrumental music or traditional music, we see it is very soothing. Okay. I gave you example, right? Like fast tempo sound. So there is difference, like it does help, but this is a therapeutic program. Okay. It is not some general music what we give. Okay, so it is okay, standard music what they have done, but research in Vitalinks website, they have not done any comparison with Indian music with the music what they have been modulated or modified. So I would say no. And if you try to select these music patterns, there are like nature music, there are those rhyme sound, Mozart selection. So these are some of the music what they have in their tool.
Okay, but
Am I clear?
yeah, we should address that this was a great thought given for research, for further research.
Yeah, exactly. No, and somebody asked Sheila also about it, and they said they will be working with Indian therapists to further take any advice from us and how we can work.
Yes.
Because it's based on the team and what they work. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was all from Zoom and YouTube and Facebook. All the questions we have addressed. I think we will address all the questions later if they put on the chat box on YouTube and Facebook. So I would also announce this, that we are going to answer the questions if they are on the Facebook live video or YouTube live video. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. I would now take the pleasure to thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Suraj and Team Cryo, and also my avid audience for taking time out. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, Suraj.
Yes, it's our pleasure. So thanks a lot, Dr. Neha, for giving us the valuable time and guide us, share your views on therapeutic listening. I would also like take the time to thank our team Trio, who's working simultaneously in multiple things, and we have upcoming talks on international speakers also. So we have posted the links, and we'll be posting the videos and details on YouTube and Facebook also. Also, I would take the time to thank Saili, Lakshita, our Professor Dr. Sanjay sir from SDM University to support us and guide us doing this today's webinar. Also, last but not the least, the technical support from our sharp and genius Krish Lodha. He makes it easy all the time. Thanks a lot, all the participants, and I hope everyone really enjoyed the time and got some information. Thank you so much, Neha ma'am, and we would be posting you further details of further talks, and we would like you to join us there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Suraj. Thanks a lot.